Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt Roast here with Jessica Bun Bun. This is our reaction and review for the first two episodes of FX's Grotesquerie. This is a brand new show that came out last night. It seems as though this is filling the void left by American Horror Story. Don't worry, that show is still coming back at some point, but this is what we have for this fall.
Also, we're going to be having American Horror Stories. They're going to be dropping 5 episodes over on Hulu for Huluween, and we will be covering that here at the channel as well.
Yeah, okay, from the start here, I will be pretty blunt. I had no idea what to expect from this show. They did not let anyone see this in advance. Like, to the point where Jason Kelce is live tweeting it last night. You're not even giving Travis's brother screeners or something like that. They hid this from everyone, and I know they do this with American Horror Story sometimes, so this is a brand new show, and I kind of did feel like, after watching it, you really did your guys a little bit of a disservice, because this is pretty entertaining. People just don't have any sort of idea of that in advance.
Okay, I'm going to put my tinfoil hat on real early
wow,
here.
This is really early.
Okay, we're going to talk about Travis Kelce very quickly here and why nobody got screeners.
Okay.
It's because he's the killer. And I think a lot of us out there were maybe feeling that before we did a preview to this season, like a month ago or whenever the trailer came out.
Yeah.
He was in it for like a second. And I was like, okay, you have this really big name that everybody's going to be very curious to watch a show about. He's gotta be the killer or have a really big role in it. And then, you know, I was watching the opening credits for each episode. Travis Kelce's name's not in them at all. I actually had to go back and rewatch it again. I was like, I must have missed it. There's no way. Like, this was announced before, you know, the season came together that he was going to be part of this. And I was like, oh, wow, what a huge casting. He is not in the credits, and that is very, very unusual. Then I also went to IMDb, which is completely unreliable for those of you who use IMDb for, like, trying to get your information. It is unreliable. But I will say that when you go to the Grotesquerie page and you see everyone that's listed, Kelce is listed there, but Travis Kelce has no character name. It's very, very purposeful.
Yeah.
It is just, and now we've got through these first 2 episodes, and, you know, we're not going to talk about the preview for next week. We're just talking about these 2 episodes. He's not in them. So I feel like the reason that screeners were not given out is because they are trying to hide that he's the killer, but it's very obvious at this point. You're going to have 2 full episodes where we've met everybody. We know what everyone's role is, and Travis is missing.
There are a lot of different ways that we could talk about this show. I mean, I'm sure there might be people who are thinking that this is sort of a Only Murders in the Building, you know, which we also cover here, sort of whodunit. But I think we are both going into this with a pretty similar perspective at this point, which is, okay, Travis Kelce's probably the killer, so we don't need to spend a lot of time sort of speculating on other possibilities, unless FX is managing to just like snow us over to some sort of record degree.
Yeah, it's for us, it's not who did it, but it's more why. Why are they doing this? What is the purpose? Are they trying to send a message? Is this just for themselves? Is it personal? What is the reason for it?
Well,
why?
We're going to get into that. We're also going to kind of give like a from the top rope overall perspective of this show. But before we do go any forward, hit that subscribe button. We will be here through the rest of Grotesquerie. I know they're kind of doing an unusual airing structure for this show with these like 2 episode a week things, but we're going to be here breaking down these episodes the day after they air on FX.
Bruh, 2 episodes every week. Like, I get why you guys want them all out before Halloween, but like, we'll all watch past October 31st.
Yes.
I mean, we don't turn into pumpkins and just stop watching. But if you want to see our Penguin reviews, we are covering that exclusively over on our Patreon. We'll leave a link for you below. It's a great way to see other content that we are not doing here at YouTube, and it's a great way to support us here at the channel. Thank you so much to everyone who has joined.
Thank you guys so much.
Let's start with the 7 comparisons, because I'm sure everyone watching this show is like, This seems very familiar, and it absolutely is. This show, when I watched the trailer, I was like, wow, this is really giving me Seven vibes. That movie was so good. When it came out, everybody was talking about it, and it, has a religious aspect to the murders that were happening, and the same thing is happening here. But when I really watched these two episodes, that is exactly what this feels like. And I'm not saying that this is like some sort of straight ripoff of Seven, because it's not. There's been lots of shows and movies before Seven that have tackled this same subject matter, and lots since then. So Grotesquerie is doing this in their own way.
I really like these episodes. I'm not
Yep.
sure how much there is here when it comes to breaking the mold in any regard. Because
That's okay.
yeah, you were on the corner of Seven before I was, but watching just these two episodes, they had a literal "what's in the box" moment
I know.
in these episodes. At a certain point, I was just like, "Okay, guys, come on, we get it now." I mean, there's obviously some Seven in here. I mean, I took maybe a little bit of American Horror Story Asylum, minus the aliens and minus the random Jessica Lange musical number. But it's, yeah, I'm okay that this show it's combining a lot of other things that are out there, but that's fine. It's really enjoyable. I can't really ask for anything more, especially given that the last season of American Horror Story was just such an epic disappointment. I'm
Oh my
fine.
gosh.
I'm fine right now with this show sort of playing the hits.
Okay, so we already have our tinfoil hats on.
Yes.
So let's get into some of the theories behind why Travis Kelce is killing everybody.
We're not even pretending.
We're not
at this
even
point.
pretending anymore. Why is Travis Kelce killing everybody? Listen, when we first saw that first tableau of the family dinner or whatever, and we had this sort of flashback to the father being killed and taken apart in the kitchen, and there was a shadowy figure, that shadowy figure was humongous. It's absolutely going to be him. But what is the connection? Because there seems like there could have been a few connections. Was it connected to the university and what these two parents were both doing there? Is it something personal? Is it something in maybe the killer's past that has to do with family, something like that? When we saw this first murder, the nun that we have met, Megan, is convinced that this is something religious. And now I am too, after seeing all this. So my theory is seeing Megan and seeing this, young hot priest, ridiculous, that these two are making a bit of a mockery, if you will, of religion. They are supposed to be sort of these pillars of purity. They are doing all kinds of things that they're not supposed to be doing. I'm using quotes here as,
Yeah.
what's people supposed to be doing or not doing. Anyways, this is my feeling behind why this killer is doing this, that they are trying to create these tableaus and these different ways to bring out the message that religion or the church is not who they say they are, that there are darker, more sinister things going on behind the scenes, and this killer is using the family, these different people to create these tableaus to be like, I see you, I see what you're doing. And we are getting glimpses of that from Megan, from the priest, where it's like, okay, they're not exactly what I guess society would think that a nun and a priest should be like.
Okay, so here's kind of where I'm going with this stuff for now. I mean, it's pretty clear here that the killer, aka Travis Kelce, has a pretty keen understanding of religious imagery, of these ideas, and there's clearly something he wants people to be thinking about. For some reason, what I'm just kind of stuck on here, and maybe it's just because we are covering the Penguin on Patreon and I've kind of got like Batman stuff on the brain, but some people just like to watch the world burn. And where I kind of wonder, is all of this really just a distraction where if you are the killer, are you wanting people to spend so much time trying to question the how or why when it's really just you want to just cause as much pain as possible, and that is sort of what is feeding you? And because people are spending so long on the why and the how, that they're not really focused on the who or trying to stop it in enough time. And I think there is clearly some sort of message that is being sent here about whether it is the nature of religion, people's devotion to religion, whether or not we ascribe meanings to things like the Last Supper, or is this something that has an inherent value? Like, I think all these sort of things are being tossed out there. I mean, is this all an exercise in randomness who is being killed? Is this all deliberate? I think the killer is pretty smart at this point, and I hate using the word smart because it sounds complimentary to somebody who is objectively one of the most horrible people we have ever seen on any of these shows.
You know who's really smart?
Yeah.
Lois's daughter. Oh my God. I have never seen this actress anywhere before. This is my first time seeing her. 10 out of 10. I absolutely love her.
Yeah, she's good.
Everything about Lois and her family and what's going on with her husband who is in the hospital, and what's going on with her daughter and what's going on with herself is so compelling and so interesting that we're going to get into a bit of sort of the beef I have with the show. I really love the show. Let me put that out there first. And now I'm going to put my beef hat on because it's small, but it's there.
Okay.
It feels a bit like I'm watching two different shows. I am watching a really serious, grisly murder show that feels a lot like Seven when I'm with Lois, or I'm with her family, or I'm with what's happening to the people who are getting killed, with her investigation, even with what's going on with, Megan, the nun, and the priest, and all of that. It all feels very much like I'm in this like deep, dark, grisly thriller. Like, it's so exciting to me. And then on the other side, you're bringing in Nurse Red, who is wearing victory rolls and like, she's got a hairstyle from the 40s. She's dressed like she's from the 40s. She's the only character on the show. When I first saw her at the beginning of episode 1, I was like, what era am I supposed to be in? Why is this nurse dressed like this? I don't really understand what is going on with her. And the plot that's going on with her takes me so far out of this crazy, dark, grisly, grim world that they have put together, because she is such a character that doesn't need to be there, that isn't even accurate. She's telling Lois that she's helping her husband get rigor mortis out of his body. Girl, oh my God. I am a former funeral director, so I'll just give you guys the real on that. Alive people can't have rigor mortis. It's not possible. There is not one case of this at all. There are things that can mimic rigor mortis, but that is something that you get from the stop of blood flow after you have died. If your blood is not moving anymore, and that is what is happening to Lois's husband, he's dead. Like, it is not a thing that's real. So every time I'm here with this character who's taunting Lois, I'm like, is this a dream that she's having her own guilt? Because we did see this scene where she was having this talk with her husband before he ended up in this coma, where she had learned that he was cheating on her. She had basically wished him death, and then now this is happening. I really hope, this is what I hope. Please, dear God, it's me, Jessica. Please let this be a dream or some sort of guilt hallucination that is happening in her own mind, that she is unable to deal with the guilt of what she had said to him before this happened.
I think there's a pretty good chance that this is some sort of dream, just because we already have in the world of this show, Lois is seeing things that other people are not seeing. So I think it's not some huge stretch to sort of think of things this way. Now, maybe this is a little bit of behind the scenes tea as to why we're getting these sort of separate stories. And I can't say for sure that this is what's going on here, so I'll just make that clear. One of the co-writers of this show is Ryan, who of course has made a million different shows known to mankind. Another one is, I'm afraid of mispronouncing the name, but it's to say this is a writer who worked on Feud, Capote versus the Swans, who, Ryan also produced, but that show was a lot more grounded, a lot more historical, and Ryan's gonna Ryan sometimes, and that just
Ryan's gonna Nurse Red the situation.
There's gonna be weird stuff that comes on the show sometimes. It doesn't always need to be there. Yeah, I am I am out on Nurse Red. I do not care about Nurse Red at all. I mean, there's some other stuff on this show that's pretty weird as well, but I can try to wrap my head around it. And this is where I am going to introduce a new nickname for the rest of our Grotesquerie coverage.
No.
Father Charlie, I know that's your real name. You are Father Freaky. You are going to be Father Freaky for the rest of this season. And this is I don't know if this is messed up for me to say. I have less of a problem.
We're talking about Grotesquerie here.
I don't know if this is less of a problem with like me, but Father Freaky, I'm more willing to accept him doing all of the stuff that he's doing in private. I'm okay with that more so than the idea that this guy looks like he's, I don't know, 20 and he's speaking to like a massive congregation of people. I'm not an expert on any sort of religious order here. I can buy that he might be like, I don't know, a priest in training, but you're that young and you're speaking to the congregation. I thought that was like old man priest job. I don't know how this works.
Listen, I laughed out loud when Megan was like, I know that when you were younger, you were a fitness trainer. I'm like, younger? He is a child. He looks like he's 20.
I know. We've all heard headlines about various, not great things. So I'm not surprised that Father Freaky's engaging in some stuff on the side. So much of the church, and once again, no judgment on religion here, but so much of the church is just about how you're presenting yourself to the people. And so, it was weird that this priest looked so unbelievably young to me. But yeah, this show is going to constantly, I think, try to balance out how weird can it be versus how realistic can it be. And it's probably going to struggle here or there.
That's why, for me, I feel like Killer Travis Kelce is... his whole motivation is something to do with the hypocrisy of the church and religion, because we are focusing so much on the priest and the nun, and we've seen them both stepping out of what are the conventional roles that society sees that a nun and a priest should be in, that he is trying to have some sort of statement on that with these killings and what is going on, because there is definitely some sort of religious tie. I will say this, though. The way that Megan is speaking to Lois, where she's like, I watch Dateline, so I know more than you. I'm just like rolling my eyes at this, because everybody thinks that they're an internet sleuth.
Yes.
I mean, you're here with us right now. We also think so. But I wouldn't sit here to claim that I know more than a detective that has closed 400 cases. And I would never think to speak to a detective that has closed 400 cases. I'm not trained in that. I don't, I like watching Dateline as much as the next person, but that does not make me somebody who knows more. So as Lois is trying to go through things and talk through things where she's just like, I think you're wrong, they're making it that this nun is going to end up being right about something.
It's a little tricky to wrap my head around in general, just because, Lois is so willing seemingly to work with Sister Megan. I mean, at the same time,
Quickly.
I will admit I really like watching Sister Megan as a character. She's just like so weird, and
But it's also really weird that she knows where the crime scenes are. There is multiple times now that she has just shown up at the crime scene. Why? Nobody knows. Lois didn't tell her, so why is she there? Like, it's so weird. And it's not her that's doing it. We saw the shadowy figure, and we all know it's Travis. So why then is Megan having this kind of information? I know that she's tried to say a few times, oh, I have gut feelings on this or that, but you don't have a gut feeling on an address.
Okay, I'm going to put another tinfoil hat on here.
Oh, on top.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Does Megan already know who's responsible for this? Is Megan getting tipped off in a way? And is she allowing this cycle to sort of prolong and perpetuate because she's already been open about how this is bringing a lot more attention to the publication. It's bringing a lot more attention to the church. Is this show saying something about, in order for people to find faith and understand and repent, that you need to experience and see really bad things in the world? Like, is this her thinking that she's being a mouthpiece for the greater good, even though she has the full capacity to stop this so much faster.
Or does she just know that this topic brings in views? Because, like, if you go to any sort of Spotify or whatever, it's always this topic of real life crimes that are going on are always like the top things that people want to talk about now and forever. It's been going on forever.
Yeah, it's always going to be a big piece of subject matter. So, I mean, I think either one of these interpretations work. I just find Sister Megan at least a lot more believable than Father Freaky, just because Sister Megan's not speaking to a congregation. Maybe she thinks she's representing the new generation of nuns who can go out and drink cocktails and do. Listen, I don't know enough about nuns to judge or understand anything one way or another. I just think her chemistry with Niecy is pretty fun, and I like kind of watching their back and forth.
I love watching their back and forth, except for when she's kind of railing on Lois that she knows better. I'm just like, I would like to see these two women working together a little bit more than that, because when they are working together, it's really compelling television. So, and Niecy Nash is so good on this show. Oh my God.
I've had such a journey with Niecy. Like, I remember when she was, I don't even know if I'm going to say the name of this right. A long time ago, she was hosting this show called, I think it was Clean House. And I never knew she was an actress way back then. And all of a sudden she started appearing in these other shows. I was still like, man, you're really good. Why didn't you get like a full-time series regular job earlier?
Yeah.
Now, I did have this question maybe midway through the second episode. Should this show be moving at a little bit of a faster pace? Because it did feel like it moved a little bit slowly before we kind of got to the end of episode 2. And it's not a super long show here. We're talking about 10 episodes. We don't know if there's ever going to be a season 2. This may just be a self-contained thing. Like, should we be getting answers a little bit faster?
I felt that they were jamming in a lot.
Oh, really?
I mean, we have was it 4 huge grisly murders at this point that I was like, it's only been 2 episodes, guys. Like, these episodes aren't even an hour long. How is this much happening all at once with this?
I think where I'm getting confused is, yes, there have been a lot of murders and there have been a lot of murder scenes, but I'm just like, okay, where are the clues? Like, what are the actual clues? And I'm not just talking about, the sulfur or whatever that is, like the
weird substance. I mean, that feels like it's the only real clue that's connecting all of these things. Yeah. What is it? Like, it looks like a blood that's maybe been sitting there a long time, but she's like, oh, it smells like citrus. It smells like amber. It smells like flesh. The smell keeps changing. I'm like, yeah, what is this?
Yeah, it just feels like we're going to see more and more terrible stuff. Like, that much feels pretty clear. The show has no problem showing us the people are getting killed off left and right. I just want some more things to maybe sprinkle stuff together so that when, Travis does show up as the killer, whenever that may be, we start to get some clues to piece it together, and it doesn't feel too sudden whenever Lois does figure out that it's Travis who's the killer.
Yeah.
So overall, though, I think this is a really good start to this show. I had a really good time watching it. It's not perfect, but for a show that was not available for critics, usually, and this is especially the case with movies, because I was a movie critic in college way, way, way back when. And back then, if a movie didn't screen for critics, it always meant that it was terrible. They didn't want critics to see it. They didn't want anybody. They wanted to just have people go out there and experience it for yourself. So I kind of went into this show with a lot of trepidation that this was not going to be good because they didn't want people to see it. I thought it was pretty good. I really found myself engaged in it.
No, you had mentioned that to me before we had come on here, that was sort of your feeling on it. And I was worried about it too, because, you're right. That is something that they would hide from critics so that the reviews don't get out early. That's like, oh, this wasn't that good, or it's only mediocre, or whatever. But this time around, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I think they're really trying to hide that Travis is the killer. He's not in the opening credits. He has no character name mentioned on IMDb. Like, it's so strange. He was in the trailer for like a blink of an eye. I think they really want to hide that he is.
Yeah, and
But you can't hide it from us.
no, you can't hide this from us. And I want to dispel this theory that's out there. I don't think they're hiding Travis from us because he's not good on the show. Like, I think
No.
Travis is going to be more than fine. I saw him on SNL. He was very good on SNL. And I know everybody may just point to this past season of American Horror Story as like, oh, Ryan's suddenly getting into this like stunt casting stuff. He's been doing this forever. He's always been casting
Lady Gaga.
Yeah, like surprising, unorthodox people. I don't think we should be making any assumption that Travis is going to be bad at this at all. I think he's going to do more than fine. He seemed really committed to it. So
I'm really excited to see what he's going to bring, especially if it's really what we think it is.
Yeah.
And he gets to play a killer. I can't wait to see what that looks like.
Yeah, like this dude only had so much time in the off season. I mean, he probably was waiting for the right role or the right opportunity to go in, play a killer for a couple of months, get back to work. I mean, I can understand why he would want to do that. But that's what we have for these first 2 episodes of Grotesquerie. So hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our other discussions all season long. Also, if you love horror, we're also in the midst of covering From on MGM Plus. It is an amazing, incredible show that will terrify you.
Yeah, we also have The Walking Dead coming up this weekend. Daryl Dixon season 2. We're going to have those reviews up on Sunday evenings.
All right, and if you guys do want to support us further, join our Patreon. Like Jess said earlier, we are covering The Penguin exclusively over there and having a great time. Thank you to our patrons as well for your support. We will see you here next time.